Thank you, Jennifer. Life is certainly a journey. I'm going to try to get this back in. Okay. I think I'm good.
You like to move.
And I'm gonna. Life is certainly a journey, and ours isn't always an easy one. Sometimes, for whatever reason, we can find ourselves off track in a dark and lonely, scary place. I know that was the case for me. There was a point in my life when I was off kilter completely. I was on a cocktail of 13 pills a day just to keep it together. My mind was completely consumed, my body was ill, and I felt as if my spirit was dying. And I knew for sure that my light had all but gone out. And I had always been really spiritually inquisitive of God. And during this particular time, I knew that I wanted and needed to have like some sort of spiritual sabbatical, a time out from life, but that really wasn't feasible because being a mom, you know, it didn't resonate well with me to abandon my children to go and find myself on a mountaintop somewhere. But that's really what I wanted to do. I had a compelling desire to really walk a closer walk with God at this particular point in my life. And what I've learned is that our life as human beings, that's what it's really about. It's about really reconnecting and re-identifying with the fact that we are spiritual beings first. Since I couldn't go on sabbatical, I did the next best thing. I went and talked to my mom to ask her about making a spiritual promise. When I grew up in Puerto Rico, I often watched older women of our community make spiritual promises. And I really didn't have a whole lot of information on it because I was a young girl at the time. And so, you know, you see folks doing stuff, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it. So I decided to consult my mom because she was the only resource that I really had on the matter. And of course, the first thing out of my mother's mouth was, you know, be mindful about what you're doing. She really just said it like this: Elena, a spiritual promise? Are you serious? That's nothing to play with. And I'm thinking to myself, who's playing, Mom? I'm not playing, I'm desperate here. But she didn't know it because I was completely silent. There were very, very few people in my circle that knew what I was going through, and my family wasn't one of them. Thank God for best friends. I have two of them here with me today, who every step of the way really knew the depth of my despair and who walked my walk with me. Once I talked with Mom, she didn't really have a whole lot of information for me on this spiritual promise that I was seeking to make. So I decided that I was just going to have to step boldly and confidently into what I knew about myself and about God. And I trusted myself to find my way and that God would lead me the way through this spiritual promise. So here's what I decided to do. I made a promise that for 6 months, I was going to dress in all white. I would abstain from drinking, abstain from smoking, abstain from using profanity or gossiping, watching my tongue. I wouldn't go to bars. I wouldn't go to clubs. And I got really clear about what my objective was, what I was seeking to achieve from this experience. And I got real clear about what it was that I wanted from this at the end of my journey. Oh, and oh, by the way, you laugh. She knows the secrets. Yeah, I promised that for 6 months I would abstain from having sex as a grown woman. Well, about a month into my spiritual journey, test number 1 comes along, and big fat 0, I kind of stumbled and fell upon something. Yeah, my 6-month promise turned into a 7-month promise. I had to recommit and decide that I was going to start over, that I was not going to give up, and I was not going to allow this hurdle to stop me from what I knew I needed to do for myself, because I was in such desperation and such despair, and I knew that there had to be something better. There had to be more, and I wasn't finding it everywhere I had looked previously. I cannot tell you what a rewarding experience my spiritual promise, my 7-month spiritual promise was. It was one of the most challenging things that I had ever experienced. Far more than I ever thought it possibly could, but it taught me so much more than I ever thought imaginable. At the start of my promise, I made 4 specific requests prior to going into it. At the end of that journey, what had happened was truly amazing to me. I had completely found my mind, body, and spirit alignment. I was completely clear about everything. I had had some really, truly magical experiences from the divine during that time because I had chosen to walk a closer walk with God. My wearing white, and the whole point of wearing white, was to be an external, physical reminder that I was walking in the light of God and to be fully present at every moment about everything I possibly could. My behavior, what I was doing, what was going on around me, the things that were happening not only to me, to my family, in the world. The spiritual wisdom that began to spring forth from my being was absolutely amazing. All of my senses and my woman's intuition were so sharp that I could pick up on so many things. And I realized at that time that, our biggest mistake is that we fail to recognize the importance of cultivating our spiritual relationships with God and in turn with ourselves. We fail to recognize the fact that we were created in the image and likeness of our Creator, and that we are spiritual beings first, human beings second, and when we leave this earth, we will go back to being spiritual beings. And the more mindful you are about that fact, the more powerful your journey here can be. Now I'm about to move. I don't think I need this.
Do your thing.
I need to make do a demonstration. During this time, I found my space in God. And you move about your life, and all of a sudden, I was there. It's like, oh wow, I just found it, and I'm completely connected to absolutely everything. And I understand things in ways that I had never understood it before. But the challenge after my 7-month promise was in moving about my life without losing that connection that I found here in this place, and being able to bring it with me everywhere that I go. So obviously I had to stay in prayer and maintain a regular meditation schedule with myself and with the Lord to keep myself clear about everything that I had learned during that time. But everything, absolutely everything changed for me when I found that in my life. And I knew that it was a very powerful thing if I could then in turn teach other people how to maintain that for themselves, how to not lose sight of the fact that God is forever available to us everywhere in everything that we do. And that when I am in that space, when I am in this place of alignment, there are resources available to me because I'm fueled by the divine. Day in, day out. And don't be afraid, but suddenly, as I move about my life and as I'm fueled by the divine and that divine wisdom, I can do things that I couldn't do before. I can focus in a way that I couldn't before. And so now, as a woman, I can say, Sherelle, I see that you're going through something. Give me your hand, honey. Lift up. And please remain standing. And I can raise up another woman.
There you go.
And I've learned to move about my life in such a way that I can do that. That if you're down, you need support, I can support you.
That's right.
Oh, yes. Amen.
And I can maintain relationships. We can empower, we can uplift, we can help heal. And you know what? And sometimes when we don't even know, I see your light. What winds up happening is that light that has reignited in me, that was gone before my promise and now is reignited, a complete stranger is able to see it. And even if I don't know you, if we've never met, all I have to do is straighten up and walk my walk.
Come on,
and
man.
another woman who might be down might see that light
That's
in me
right.
and remember and recognize that light, that divine light. And what winds up happening is that while in this place of abundance and prosperity that I have found in the divine, now I'm not keeping it here. I'm no longer afraid. I don't have to be afraid. Now it's a well, and it springs forth.
That's right.
And I can extend it out to others. And now look at me. I'm surrounded. I'm surrounded by that prosperity. And when I share it with you, and share it with you, and share it with you, and I'm connected, and I stay grounded and centered in this place, I can move about my life. We can uplift our children, our youth, each other as women, and we're the glue. You know, I was listening, and you ladies can sit down. I just needed to demonstrate that, how, you know, now I can move about my life, and these relationships that I've started now support me, and it creates a greater pool, and we can do great things, and we can make great change, and we can help people in ways that we never thought imaginable before, and we have the energy to do it. We have the energy to do it. But we have to remember where that energy comes from, where our light comes from, and we have to remember who we are. And I have chosen to walk unapologetically.
Come on now.
Unapologetically in the life of who I am. Execute Your Destiny is about helping other people understand and manage their own spiritual awakening, their own understanding. It's not about just going to church every Sunday.
Amen.
If you go there and you leave and you're checking a box, that's not it. You've missed the whole point.
That's right. That's right.
Execute Your Destiny is about helping others find their alignment and helping to orient them towards their light so that they can walk in that light and live the life of their dreams. I've developed a workshop titled The Journey Back to the Light to help others with that journey. And in that workshop, I share intimate details of the struggles that I really encountered when I made that promise, and the things that I learned, and just everything about it, and tools that came forth, and strategies to help keep myself in that space. And as I mentioned, again, there were times when, you know, you're in it, you're out. You're in, you're out. And we've all experienced that, where you're just on fire. You think you're unstoppable until you step out, and then you're like, hold up, wait a minute, what just happened? So Execute Your Destiny is about helping people find that alignment, get in that space, but have that space and move with them wherever they go. And we can do that. And when we do that, we can change the world. Thank God. Because that's become our source. That's what's fueling us every step of the way. I humbly say to you, my name is Elena Jimenez. I am the CEO and founder of Execute Your Destiny. And I am in love with God. I am in love with life. I'm in love with my children again. I am in love with who I've become. And like I said, I walk unapologetically in the light of who I am.
Amen.
I am unstoppable, and I dare each and every one of you to join me on the journey.
That's right.